came all the way out to their house. It's a nice segue, thanks Lauren, to the next topic, which is Councillor Merulla, who of course was voting for the continuation of the bus lane because he sees it as being part of the larger transit discussion, as I certainly do, is basically saying, you know, if you voted against the continuation of the bus lane, but you say you're pro-transit, well then let's test the councillors here. So his motion, and I've read it, I'm sure you have as well, Lauren, basically says, you know what, the area rating where people are paying for transit based on usage levels should be like other area rated services. We should just have it where they pay for it across the board. Why are we doing it on a service level when transit improves the entire city in a multitude of ways? So the response to it, Lauren, I was not here for. What happened?
Obviously, there's been an awful lot of support from the urbanist side of things for Sam Merulla, and I'm not sure that this is a route to go on, one item of area rating at a time. There was a citizens panel that spent an awful lot of good time and work to come up with things and to cherry pick what now needs to be changed. I would be much happier if we were going to do a review on area rating. And if you believe that transit is equal for all people, then transit needs to get somewhat equalized for all people. That our transit position suggests that the central mountain of the old city of Hamilton is the most underserviced. And there seems to be a lot of buses, and there seems to be a lot of different routes, but that's what we need, as opposed to 1 minute improvement of expediting from Wellington to Dundurn. And I don't know that anybody's jumping up and down saving the bus lane for that minute, that was more of an example.
It wasn't about speeding things up, it was about laying the groundwork for a dedicated lane.
But if this motion is going to go forward, and we're going to make transit a universal thing, then we need to make it a citywide issue for improvement as well.
So here's where I think the debate needs some delineation, and that is that there's two components to public transit. One is the actual user access. So you live way out in the boonies, Lauren, takes a cab to your house costs a fortune, because I cab when I have a few cocktails. You to get a bus out there or transit would cost the city a fortune as well. I mean, you're out on the outer limits of the city limits, and Hamilton is huge now post-amalgamation.
Certainly.
So the argument that I'm only going to pay if it comes all the way out to me is never going to work, because it's not realistic.
I didn't say that.
I know, but some are saying that. Some are saying that. Now, transit also, though, a good transit system, it says so much more for a city. It's about access. It's about keeping talent in the city because they can get around. They can live a life that is car-free, which is where a lot of 20 and 30-somethings are going anyway. It's about being competitive. It's about, you know, better services for all the transit users and growing transit ridership, and about the environment. I mean, there's so many benefits to a city about having a great transit system, which a lot of other Canadian cities have invested in, that citizens can look at it and say, I may not be a direct user, like I'm not probably going to use the bus. However, I will invest in it. I'm willing to pay for it because I think that it does so much more to build the city that I live in, and it's going to pay itself back. So, I mean, that's the argument that has to be made. It's not pay to use, it's pay because good transit is good for the overall city. Well, and I don't think that argument's been made very well.
Our transit, our HSR, is not self-sustaining in any way, shape, or form.
Of course. It's subsidized like any transit
But the majority of every ride is subsidized. And that's fine if that's a part of city building and otherwise. And Laura, I agree with everything that you say, but the same thing applies for city building, for making it a more livable city, for a benefit for environmental purposes and getting cars off the road, to all of that. But that doesn't just work on King Street.
Well, and of course, so I mean, areas where there's the population density, like the mountain, that's underserved with service should be enhanced. I mean, I'm not all for one little track of light rail. Right. I think our transit system needs to be enhanced. And areas might be bus rapid transit and dedicated lanes, and others might be LRT. I mean, we need to get a better system for transit users across the city's density areas, not all the way out to where you live, because that's not realistic.
No.
However, I don't think the argument, as is typical in this city, has been made on the city building level, which is to say, you know, this is about more than whether or not you ever plan on putting your butt on a seat on a city bus.
Which is why the transit report on the bus lane trial project was inadequate.
Yeah.
That it only was about the transit, not about the effect to business, not about
It wasn't large enough in its scope, right?
completely.
And so, but not large enough in its scope for a city building argument, which it never thought it was going to be. But in this town, because there's no actual city vision, something like a microcosm of a bus lane turns into the discussion of our entire transit future and everything that we're about as a city. I mean, this is how deprived of
it's so
vision we are in
ridiculous.
this town, that everything becomes a discussion of our raison d'être, our reason for being. It's ridiculous.
Laura, we read in the paper about all those businesses that were saying they got to leave, the bus lane is killing them. Then Councillor Farr is tweeting that business has never been better on King Street.
Yeah.
Well, at the end of the day, I don't know.
Right.
Nobody did a study
But that
of
bus
it.
lane thing was not supposed to be that holistic a study. But in this city, because there's no vision, everything becomes the thing. It's incredibly frustrating. It's like constantly living your life in a tactical debate with never having a strategy. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about the elephant.